Hello everyone, I'm Tim from Tim's PC and I build custom PCs to suit anyone's needs or budget. I also live stream my builds and repairs for transparency and educational purposes. So if you would like to get an awesome new PC and you'd like to see it get put together live, send me a message today. Alright, back here on a Friday night. So we're going to be building another Lian Li one, but this one is the big one. Well, not the biggest, but the bigger one than last night. So we did the mini last night, all black one, and now we've got the full size one. Well, it's the mid size one, but it's the full size, if you know what I mean. It doesn't have any. It doesn't have like a. It's not called the mini or something like that. There's the XL. There's a Razer Edition XL, and there's a ROG Strix Edition XL that you can get as well. So if you remember Nathan's Waterloop PC that we did, that case there is the ROG Strix Lian Li Dynamic XL, which you can get. It's got that RGB strip down the front.
The Radeon, did you say?
The Razer.
Razer.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, so you can get that as well. But this is just the ordinary one, so I quite like this case. I've done a fair few builds in this one before, so everyone should be fairly familiar with this. But yeah, it's a good case. Well, let's get into it. So we'll go through our components here tonight. So hopefully Adam's joined us. Adam's real keen for this one, I know for sure. He's chimed in a couple of times this week. I know I can't wait for mine. So anyway, let's get into it. So we have, it seems like a bit of a recurring theme, a bit like Groundhog Day. We've got the AMD Ryzen 5600X and the MSI B450M Pro VDH Wi-Fi motherboard. We're going to be pairing it with the Asus RTX 3060ti. This is the dual one. This is the bigger card. There's a dual mini as well. So if you are after a card for a small form factor build, the dual mini ticks a lot of boxes with its dimensions. But this is the full size one that we can see here tonight. You can notice it with the bigger carton. So I'll put that one down to the side as I always do. We've got 16 gigabytes of Spectrix D41 3600 MHz CL18 memory. And we have a Crucial P1 500GB NVMe SSD. We've got the customary Lian Li white fans, so 2 3-packs of the white fans there to go in. We've got our Thermaltake Rgb Cooler here. This is quite a nice looking cooler in my opinion. I like the pattern on the block for something that's branded. I quite like the way that they've gone with that. Normally I don't really like. I'm not really a big fan of too much branding on the blocks. Like I like the Lian Li coolers.
Yeah, I was going to say I like them because they have the little magnet that you put over the middle.
I don't mind the Silverstone one because it's like a snowflake. It is their logo. It is their logo, but it's just a snowflake. It doesn't sort of say their brand or anything like that, and the snowflake goes well with the cooler that you've got on the CPU.
White build because,
white snow. So I've been using a lot of them, but unfortunately the Silverstone 360mm AIO is currently out of stock. I can't get it at any of the wholesalers or major retailers. So I'd say that the popularity of them meant that they've sold through, and they're waiting on another container from China probably. So anyway, we're going to be powering it with a Cooler Master 750 watt. This is one of the ones with the 5-year warranty here. So this is a semi-modular unit, so that means it has like the main ATX power and possibly CPU power as actual cables that you can't unplug, and then it gives you the options to plug in the other ones as desired.
Is there any strips going in here?
No, so we don't have any strips, and we just got the 500 gigabytes, just got the 16 gigabytes of memory. So we can add a hard drive. We could put in an extra kit of memory. We could add strips. That's just if Adam wants to do it. still cool. We've got the stuff there if you want to do it. So just let me know.
We'll definitely look for it if there's balls.
Oh yeah, definitely. So let's have a look what we get in this box. Some SATA cables, our MSI Go Faster badge,
Gotta have that.
some M2 screws, our rear I/O shield, Wi-Fi antennae, and
What's the
our
right way
CD.
to say it? Antennae, antennae,
Antennae.
antennae. Is that more like, insects?
I don't know. Now you've got me questioning the language. Alright, so let's have a look at this motherboard. So I've pointed these features out a few times because we've done this board a bit, but it's just the best value board that has a lot of the features that you'd want and ticks a lot of price boxes.
Before you start, Rodney and Mario here.
Rodney and Mario, hey guys, how you going? Good to have you with us again. You guys are here like pretty much every night. Gotta love you guys. Alright, so let's have a look at this motherboard again. So I'll go through it pretty quickly because obviously we've seen this board before. So at the top here we've got 8 pins of CPU power. We've got direct touch heatsink on our MOSFET and VRM there. Got nothing up the top here on co-processors and that's fine though. Not going to be a big problem. We're not going to be overclocking a 5950X or something like that on this board, so I don't think that's going to be a problem. We have our CPU fan header, obviously our AM4 socket. We've got dual channel memory, the 4 slots, 2 channels. Got a sneaky 5V RGB header hidden away up there. Look at that, just tucked away at the top there.
Very sneaky.
I like sneaky RGB headers like that you can really conceal the cable. It's really painful when they put it in like sometimes there'll be a header like there or something. You're like, what? You gotta get all creative. Anyway, we've got another 2 fan headers here. One's designated pump fan, one is a designated sys fan one. We've got some debug LEDs up here. So you can see those little yellow lights they look like. They're actually red. We've got our 24-pin ATX power, so our main power for the motherboard. Got sysfan 2, so that's a total of 4 fan headers just in this corner. That's pretty good. We've got our USB-C front panel connection. We need that for this case. We have 4 horizontally orientated SATA ports and a horizontally orientated USB 3.0. We have another 5V RGB header there. We have some LED lights there, a little switch for them. We have our front panel connection header here. We've got our we've got our diagnostic speaker header here. We have 2 USB 2.0 headers. We've got COM port, various debug pins. We have another fan header, so that's a total of 5 on this board. We've got 2 12V RGB headers down here, and then we've got our front panel audio. Then we've got, I think these ones here are Thunderbolt connector or something. No. Not sure what those five are. I'll have to look that one up. Anyway, this one here is our clear CMOS right next to our battery. It's pretty much a standard on MSI on MSI motherboards. Yeah, spit it out. I was almost called them afterboards. I don't know what the fuck my brain was. But anyway, obviously I've got little gold audio capacitors, and these are our audio headers on the rear I/O there. We also have our Wi-Fi here, so just like that card that you would have seen on the motherboard last night in the build, that same little card is just plugged in horizontally there, as you can see. So that's what onboard Wi-Fi looks like on a motherboard. It's just a little tiny chip. Anyway, we've got gigabit Ethernet, 4 USB 3.0s, 2 USB 2.0s, we have PS2 port, and we have
VGA, VGA DisplayPort and HDMI, and we also have a flash BIOS button there as well. None of these display ports will be in use for this build because we don't have a chip with onboard graphics. Thanks, Rodney.
Thanks, Rodney.
Appreciate it. Anyway, in the center here we've got some M2 slots. So we've got the two here. We've got one with the heat spreader, one without. We've got a trusted platform module header here, this one. We've got our PCIe X16 and then just two X1s down here as well. We've also got our chipset under this heatsink here. And that is all the main features of this motherboard.
So we'll get this CPU installed. So we won't be using the standard AMD cooler. Yeah.
Adam says, hey everyone.
Hey Adam, how you going? I think I forgot to send Adam a link
Oh, did you?
when I started.
Oh, you're a bit shit.
I am. I am really shit.
Bet he's peeling for his computer.
Probably. Alright, so we've got our CPU installed there, so we don't need the stock cooler, obviously. Yeah.
Simon says,
Hey Simon, how you going? Good to have you here. Alright, so I'll probably install this M2 drive in the bottom slot just because the graphics card is going to partially obstruct it. And so then it's nice and easy if Adam wants to add another M2 drive to this system. He can just undo two bolts, plug it in, do them back up, and he's ready. Okay. Need one screw. There we go. So that's all installed there, but that'll be mostly covered up by our graphics card. And so we got our memory here. So we can add another kit of memory if Adam wants. 16's fine for now, but you can always add the extra 2, so you've got the 32 there and all that. And an MSI board. So we're going to use this slot here, and we're going to use this slot here. There we go. Alright, so we've got our board pretty much all prepped. These are the only things we're going to plug into our board. So we've got our CPU, got our memory, and we've got our M2 SSD there. So we'll turn our attention now to the cooler. This is the last thing we'll attach to the motherboard before we put it into the case. Alright. So these look pretty schmick and all white. In this case, with all the fans and everything, it's a very, very cool case. What's not cool is undoing all these cable ties. Probably one of the more frustrating parts about building a computer. Though some people would probably say other things are more frustrating, but when you do it every day, different things might stand out as frustrating to you.
So,
Yeah.
Mario wants to know, do small cars perform the same as their large counterparts? Oh, get out of it.
So, in general, what the difference between a smaller card and a larger card, I mean, you got to remember the GPU, the actual chip on the card that does all the magic, they are all the same size.
Yeah.
So when you are buying a bigger card, you are buying, in general, you are buying a better cooling solution. You're buying a bigger cooler. It's like, you got like the standard little stock cooler on your CPU, or you could buy like a big, like,
I'm showing my old one for an example. It's like,
where is it?
it's up there. On the shelf. It's right there.
Where?
Above the Russian dolls.
That's not your cooler.
No, I say graphics card.
Oh, no, it's not a good example, because it's not, people can't buy them. It's a different sort of card. No, but you got like a small cooler, and you can get like a slightly bigger cooler, and put like a massive big tank cooler on your CPU. They do the same thing with the graphics cards, just bigger air coolers. And the other thing that you pay for as well with the ones that come with the bigger air coolers is there's a concept called binning. So they make these GPUs, right? And they don't all come out the same. So they get tested and they get graded. And then based on how good they are, the best ones become the top of the line, Asus ROG Strix ones. Or the Gigabyte Aorus Master ones. Or whatever. Those ones that you see that are a lot more expensive than the other ones. That's why, because the cooler on them is awesome. The chips themselves are the better ones out of the batch, and you're just getting an all-round better product. Yeah.
That was bigger.
Yeah, that's a big 3-slot one. Yeah. So that's the main thing you pay for with the different coolers, with the different cards, I should say, is the different coolers that you get on them. And also the thing I said about binning. That comes into play as well. Alright, so we'll change this over to our AM4 bracket. And we have to use the other back plate, so I'll have to swap the standard back plate out, and we'll have to put in this other one. So when we do it for AM4, we need to put this little bit of insulation down. So we just need to stick that over our back panel like this. So we can't have the metal touching the PCB, which is You hear people say PCB. What that means? That's printed circuit board. And it's basically like motherboards and things like motherboards.
No worries, sounds cool. Thanks for that one, Tim.
No worries. Yeah, it's confusing as all hell if you don't know these little things about it, because you're just looking at all these different cards at all these different prices and you're just like, what the fuck do I make of it? Why is that one that and that one that? They're both called 3080. What's the difference? Sort of thing. Like, I get it.
Depending on how big it is and if it's white or... Because, you know, generally when they're white...
Oh, yeah. Yeah. If things like that come into play, so... Colour, yeah. Cards like your one. Your new one that you scored. Yeah, she scored herself a 3060 because Tim ordered the wrong card for a build, and it was ordered.
It
was ordered from interstate.
Tim with the tiger on it. Got myself one of them.
Yeah. She's very happy.
I did want to upgrade though, and I was gonna buy one myself, but Tim saved me some dollars. He's not impressed.
No.
Like, don't remind me.
Because I paid too much. I paid too much for it. I paid too much for it. I thought it was a 3060 Ti, and it was a 3060.
Well, it's gone to your wife. It's gone to a good home. Just, you didn't pay too much for it because it went to me. You love me.
Yeah. But I bought an LHR one.
Yeah, I know.
For 1,000 and like
how much
60 or
did
something.
you even pay for that? I don't even know.
Like freaking 1,200 and something.
Jeepers.
Yeah. I thought it was the 3060.
Yeah, well, fair
The
enough.
price,
because
the
it
price.
was 12.
Yeah.
Oh well, next time you need to look hard.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh man. I've gone and put this through the Intel holes while we were talking.
Oh shit. So,
Yeah.
says, hey bro.
Hey man, how you going? What's going on? Bit of Friday night PC building action. As fun as that is. No, I always like a good build. I had to like force some of these bolts into position. Like I had to go to all this extra effort, and now I'm pulling them all out.
Did you even wonder why you had to go to all that effort?
No. They fit through that way as well. It's... These bolts have like a groove in them so that they fit in the hole only in one orientation. So they're not symmetrical. So if you've got the bolt has to be turned to like 9 o'clock. And if you had it at 3 o'clock, because it's not symmetrical, it won't fit in. So it has to be at that 9 o'clock orientation. It's not actually 9 o'clock, I'm just using that as an example, right? Alright, so we've got that back plate all prepped with the insulation down there. We've also got our little plastic washers around the bolts there that also provide a bit of insulation. And so now we've just got to take off our standard AMD backplate. See, I'm not a fan when you have to do this because there's already a perfectly good backplate that's well insulated on the back of the board from factory. There's no need for them to go to this sort of effort. They just need to put in a couple of screws that screw into the stock bracket. I mean, how hard's that? No, oh, it's just wasteful, man.
It is.
Wasteful is bad on, like, multiple levels. It's bad because it's, like, wasted money. It's bad because, like, environmentally and sustainable and...
Landfill.
Yep, all that crap. So it's like, whether you care about the environment or you care about the cost, it's bad either way. We're bringing people together. What do you think, right? We can all agree that waste is shit. Alright, so put our little feedies down here. They just sort of cover up the bolts and stuff. And it'll make sure you don't tighten your cooler down too much. You get rid of that bit of plastic. They don't work too well with this bit of plastic on. Okay, so I'm going to use some Arctic Silver here. Alrighty, so with this cooler we only have one orientation that we can put it because we need to keep the writing the right way up. So we have to orientate it like this. So just hold it down and just do opposite corners. Slightly tighten them with your thumbs. Then you can do the other two nice and easy. Yeah. Not much, man. We're just prepping this motherboard, getting this cooler installed. I got distracted by talking and put the bolts through the Intel holes instead of the AMD holes. It's because I did Intel last night.
I just had a coffee. And tea.
Yeah. But I didn't manage to have my afternoon nap.
No.
I needed that.
You did lay down for a while though.
That should be pretty good, I think. Okay. So this cooler will be orientated like this because it's going to be mounted to the top of our case like this. So we want to have our fan cables coming out on this side.
Okay. Alright. Sorry, I get real quiet when I do the fans, so I try to do it as quick as I can. There we go. Well, let's try to untangle these as much as we can. Just keep them all bunched up together like that until we're ready to do the next bit. My assistant has been called away right when I need her. Well, I don't need her, I just want her.
What's wrong?
Oh, I said, my assistant's not here right when I need her. And then I said, I don't really need her, I just want her.
What's it doing? Fans.
We're doing fans. So, in there.
Was anything. What's in this box?
Controllers.
Shit.
Controllers.
Oh, there's the box. It's like, I thought the bolts might have came in the box here.
Just what I need, more crap. Sweet. Yeah, so with these ones, because they're going in here, might want to unhook cables so they can be mounted like that. Here, there's one that's already done for you. So
So I got to teach her all the little finer points, the things that I might gloss over when I'm building.
Yeah, I wouldn't have done that.
Because if not, it's it's like Homer Simpson building a barbecue sometimes when
Why doesn't mine look like
he's like, that's one mighty fine barbecue. Why doesn't mine look like that? It's all the little things.
Huh?
Okay.
You might have to do it. How did you get that out?
One at a time.
Yeah,
The top one first.
Yeah, I'm trying.
She's learning. Part of learning is feeling silly. And you work out how to do it, and then you're like, oh shit. I think you prefer this one, don't you? You always seem to bitch about the other one.
Which way do you want it?
Up. Yeah, like with the front part facing inside the case. Yeah, that's why you unhooked them. Okay, so I've got 3 fans stacked on top of each other now, so I'll just move the first one over and get that first bolt in place. There's number 1. I can balance there for just a second. And number 2. Opposite corners will make your life easier. How you going?
Can I have the... I want that one, yeah. That's better.
Yeah, I don't know why she wants the small. Never wanted the small one. Look how much more effort I'm going to. The big one is your friend. There we go, there's the last bolt. Alrighty. Let's come around here. And get yours.
There's a screw on it. Oh, no, that's not going to happen. I was going to try and move it. Hold on, it is what it is.
No one's going to be
you
seeing much.
You don't want them too high though on that one because it might come in contact with the cooler.
Yep. Good. I was watching the height. I was like,
Oh,
yeah, we have
piss. Aww.
I think we got some other fan bolts.
Yeah, but I don't like dropping them inside the case because then there's that, tink sound.
Yeah, well, it's not that bad because people don't move their computers around too often.
I need 2 more. It's really sweaty. It's really muggy tonight.
It is a bit muggy. Alright. So now we've got our fans in place. We put this bottom dust filter back on. There we go. Now we've got all of these cables here out the back. Yeah. Mate, it looks sweet. Excellent. Alright, so a bit of stuff to take off out here. Okay, we've got some stuff here in the drive bay. Okay, so we've got all our fans in the case, got our motherboard and cooler prepped. Have a look at this power supply, but I will probably just feed most of that behind the motherboard there at the bottom, because it's a micro ATX and an ATX case. I don't think I've got too much more I need to feed through the bottom there. USB 3, no, don't have to worry about that. No, I think we're pretty safe to install our power supply. I don't believe I will have to remove that for anything. Oh, this is different wrap.
Hey, what? What the hell is that?
There you go, have a play with that.
Ooh, jeebus.
Does it pop?
All the packaging without the popping.
No!
Very unsatisfying popping.
Oh, you didn't have to twist it.
No twist pop action.
Wait. That's really weird packaging. I've never seen that before. It's very strong. Maybe you save that for when you pop PCs up.
Okay, so this is a semi-modular power supply, so we don't have to plug in all the cables. We'll plug in one SATA, and then we'll probably stash the rest of these away in one of the 3.5-inch bays. Should be a pretty good hiding spot for them. We'll leave one of the 3.5-inch bays in case Adam wants to install like an extra hard drive for more storage or anything like that. We can do that for you now if you want.
We have all the stuff.
Yep.
One extra lighting.
Yep.
We have RGB strips.
We got all that stuff. There we go. So now these are all the cables that we need. Got this CPU power cable. So I'm going to go ahead and route that up here. So I'm going to get it through this lip, but not so far that it gets in the way of that hole there. Just so it sits behind that lip. And then it can come out this hole at the top here to plug into our motherboard. There we go. And we've got obviously our main ATX power cable there. Got our graphics card, SATA. We've got everything we need. Okay, so we've got our power supply, all the case stands, everything's all looking pretty good here. Ready to get our motherboard in the case. Start hooking it up. Sweet as. We'll require some different offsets here. Oh. He's had dinner now, he's come back up here for comfort. Okay.
Do you see Simon's question?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, he wanted to know what case this is.
Ah, this case. So this is, if you don't know, this is the Lian Dynamic 11 in white. This case comes in many different variants. There is a mini variant and there is also an XL variant. This is the regular variant. So you can get it in black and white. So spot. Yeah.
Cases, RSP.
No, it's pretty busy right now this time of year. Alright, got that CPU plugged in there. Alright, so I've done one bolt up. I think that's enough. We only need one bolt, right? Now the reason for it is because I've got a micro ATX motherboard in an ATX case, so I've got all this space down here. So if you don't really care, you could just like run the cables down the bottom and just run them up there, but then you see all these cables running across that white surface there. We want to keep this white surface here nice and clear. We want this to look nice and clean at the end, and we want it to look like there's basically nothing plugged in, even though everything's plugged in. So we don't want to see too many cables around the front here. That's why we've got all of this space back here to hide cables away. So there's plenty of room for all the excess cables and stuff like that. So you can make the front of it look very, very neat and tidy. So I'm going to start with this pump. MSI motherboards have a designated header for an AIO pump, and why that's significant is that it will always like run on full off that header. That is sorted. Cool. So we need to have something plugged in to our CPU fan header. And look, just out of convenience, we'll probably plug in. Actually, oh no, I don't like plugging controllers into CPU fan headers. Alright, so we're going to use the top fan from the top, this one inside the case there is going to be plugged into our CPU fan header. And so now we've just got the rest of them to deal with. So we might turn to one of our Lian accessory boxes. And Christine kindly unboxed one for me earlier.
put the bolts through?
Alright. So we get a 6-device powered fan controller. So it's addressable and it's independently powered. So you're not going to have any problems running 6 fans off this controller. Then we've got our RGB connections and stuff there. This is for the RGB controller, we won't be using that. Okay, but we will be using this. This is what we've come here for. So we've got our pump and we've got 1 fan sorted. Now we have to deal with another 7. Sorry, another 8. Another 8 fans. So we're going to need help because we don't have that many headers on the motherboard. So first we'll plug in our power cable here. Well, it's power and data. Then we've got SATA on one end and then the addressable PWM header on the other one. So we can split these as far as we want, it doesn't really matter. And then where we'll mount them in the case. So previously I've just sort of mounted them kind of hit back here on the wall. Just make sure there's enough room to get them in and out if you have to change anything, because you got a bit of sticky here on the back. And because it's right up against the wall, it's sort of safe to mount them almost anywhere, as long as you can actually get fans onto the headers there. Alright, so now we're left with these two. So if I remember right, we had a fan header down the bottom. Actually, no, I need those two. They'll plug into those 2 headers, and then we'll use the controller on the bottom. There we go. So we've got our fan controller plugged in on the bottom there. And so now we can go and hook up a few fans. So I'll probably leave these other 2 fans that were from inside the case there on the side, and we'll plug them into the other 2 headers on the side of the motherboard there. And then all we have to worry about is these 2 from down here. Sorry, these 3, I should say. Okay. So we've got our controller. Like I said, as long as you leave room to plug these cables in, it doesn't really matter where you mount it back here. And you can tile these cables down. I usually don't, just in case we get a dead fan or something like that. You've got all this room to conceal cables, you may as well actually use it. But as long as it's ordered chaos, it's okay. In my opinion. If that's not you, you do you. Don't let me be some sort of authority figure. So we'll plug in our power there to our SATA cable. And we'll put the SATA cable up there behind the data, sorry, the CPU, I should say, power cable. And then if we need extra SATA cables, they're right there, it'll be easy to pull them out. Because we have a panel that goes on here, so these cables behind here will be hard to access. Okay, so we're looking pretty sweet here. So we've got everything plugged in at the top of the motherboard where we'd like. So now we can turn our attention to this radiator. Okay. Yeah.
Happy Friday.
Hey, happy Friday. Seen that one a bit recently. Can I get your help with this stage of the operation?
Yes, you can.
No. Pull it back that way. Because the cable's stretched. The cable's a little bit like a centimetre or two too short, ideally.
Okay.
That's the joys of building custom PCs.
These ones.
That's fine. We're not utilising that one. That's why I give you so many holes. You don't like need them all. Yeah, you can knock it out now. It's all good. Thanks, babe. you see what? Do you see what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, not trying to be a dick or anything.
No.
All right, so we got our cooler installed. We'll need to run some more cables behind the case there, just to keep it nice and neat and discreet. So we all need our front panel connections, which need to go down. Yes, down here. Okay. So always plug in your bottom row first, it makes your life a lot easier. There we go. So where's our front panel audio? Okay, so we don't have any USB 2. No need to hook up any USB 2. Got our front panels, no COM port. Got our, we're going to plug in our 5-volt RGB header up the top. So, I'll put a couple more bolts in. What do you reckon? Excellent. So now let's get the rest of these fans hooked up. And then we can worry about our RGB. So I'm going to use a cable tie around these Thermaltake ones because they're quite long cables. I just want to fold them up.
them up into a bunch and plug them into our controller. There we go. So they are all hooked up back there. Just got a heap of RGBs. We've got 2 more fans over here. Here we go. Put one there. And one there. That should be pretty good. Then we've got our RGB daisy chain to start. So where was the missing cable? There we go. Okay, so we're going to need that. We're going to need this one here. Almost feel like gluing these Thermaltake ones because they're not very compatible with like the adapter is the right pins, well, like the right like pin out from a power perspective, but the freaking cable is like for square pins, but we have round pins for our RGB, so
Maybe double up on that tape.
need a little flamethrower. Just melt all that. Seriously, not a bad idea.
Just get behind the board. There you go, you bastard. Yeah, so someone asked me what's the hardest part about building a computer. I would probably say these stupid RGB headers. Okay. So now we're left with these three. So I'll use another zip tie here just to tie these back. Once again, Thermaltake, really long cables. Okay, so we're going to need to add some extra Thermaltake cables. Sorry, did I say Thermaltake cables? I mean the Lian cables. As the weeks go on, I just get tighter and tighter and tighter.
You need a holiday, like a week off.
Yeah, it sounds nice. That's a nice thought. Okay. All of our Lian cables are in place there. So now we can turn our attention to the Thermaltake ones. Alright, let's go. Start from this one. And one last cable tie to bunch up the rest of these Thermaltake cables. And that should be fine. Excellent. So now we've got all of our RGB and fans hooked up. So we're just left with basically just a few cables. So we'll start with USB 3 and USB-C.
So USB 3 goes in down here. Nice and easy in this case. Just like that. And then Type C will come in just like that, and plug in like that. And then we've got ATX power, so main power for our motherboard. That will just come out here, and we're gonna like twist it around on itself. Just like that. It's nice and neat and discreet. That's what we're going for tonight. So we're at the point now where we can install our graphics card. Everyone loves the time when we get to do the graphics card, because it's the main part of our gaming PC. Having a good CPU is important, but having a good graphics card is more important. Like you'd make do with a Ryzen 3 or an i3 before you sacrifice on your graphics card. Hey Fred, how you going, man? How's the PC going? I need to stop buying these Asus cards that don't have foam packaging, because I recycle the anti-static foam. But they're all at such good prices. My customers always want things cheaper.
There's some foam.
Oh, yay. Alrighty, so we'll chuck a couple of plugs into our HDMI and DisplayPort because they won't be in use for this build.
So,
Yeah.
Fred says pull them marvelous.
Awesome.
Ronnie says the bottom and side fans blow into.
Yeah, the bottom fans blow in. These fans blow. It's a little bit weird to get your head around the airflow dynamics. So these three fans here blow air from in the
Which
case. But these three here blow cool air out the back of the case. Right? And on the back of the case there are two vents. Okay? So heat it's pushing air out there, and the radiator is also pushing air out the top. But because we're pushing air through the radiator, these three fans at the top aren't pushing out quite as much air as these fans on the bottom are sucking in. So that's why these three here are blowing out of the case as well, just so we've got nice cool airflow through the case at all times. So they usually try to prioritize, having a cool case over pretty much anything else. If you can set it up with like a bit of negative pressure and stuff if you're like a dust freak, but my advice is don't worry about that and just clean your computer regularly. Just get the leaf blower or the reverse cycle vacuum cleaner or even just a hair dryer and just blow all the dust out. It's probably the best thing to do.
Hair dryer and cool.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, I mean, you can use it on hot as well. Computers can get hot.
Yeah, but
that offset like doesn't even want to come out. Okay, that doesn't even have to come out. Let's just not even do that. That was, yeah. Feels like it's in there permanently till the end of time.
I was gonna say, oh, and it's a peel it.
You can have a look at it.
You can have a look at it. Oh, you didn't get the sticky off the fan still.
Oh,
What are you
no.
doing?
Oh no.
Dang.
So I'm going to change out some of these back panels to some spare white ones that I've got.
It's nice that they have this one.
Yeah. I'm just swapping out some of these black side panels for white ones at the back here. So that looks all nice and white. Because even though we've got some black here, we're trying to go for more white.
More white the better because black absorbs what RGB.
Yes. There we go. All nice and white at the back there. So we have a single 8-pin for this card. Nice and easy. Okay. And now we have our graphics card power cable. So, since we got cables coming out over this side, we'll probably try and keep that as our route for the cables. go. Alright. So now all I got to do is put some panels on out the back. There we go. One rig and all our cables tied away out the back there, all concealed with that nice little concealing panel we have there. Oh, is that a stray zip tie? Not for long. Okay. Oh,
Upside down.
it's good if you put her on the right way. That's always really sweet when you do that.
That's pretty shitty.
You can peel the outside glass off. There's still plastic over the front panel as well.
You didn't peel it.
Yeah, I know. That's what I said.
No.
I never do that. Oh, that's the... Yeah. Alrighty. See, I'm feeling good. That's why I've closed it all up. But whenever I do that, there's always a problem. Okay. Do you want to do the honours? And our Thermaltake fans aren't working. Yeah. Like the fans work, just that RGB cable that I was bitching about before has come unplugged. We're just posting now. Oh, I just hate getting these bolts back in. They've got really short threads on them. So if you don't have it just perfectly lined up, it won't screw in. Sweet as. Now it's working. We can enable our XMP profile here, and we will grab a Windows installation USB. And we will save and exit. Those fans are really noisy when I've had a... I'm just going to turn them down. That's kind of annoying me. Oh, hang on. Yeah. It looks great. There we go. Yeah, it looks the goods. Do you want to hide that? Got to remember to put people's product keys in because I keep forgetting. That's alright. I just don't want any smart ass sitting there, like, keying it in to their computer while I'm keying it in. Do you know what I mean? It's an unlikely situation, but it could happen. Alrighty, nearly done. Yeah.
Josh says he's up to
Hey Josh, how you going? Not too much, man. Just finishing off this nice dynamic 11 in white. Thanks, Adam. Yeah, Adam's been hanging out for this.
Sure you don't want any strips?
It's a beacon already.
Yeah. Yeah.
Josh says last year everything was doing well.
Yeah. Just busy, man. I just need some sleep. Yep. Alrighty. No? Here it goes. Selling Rampage going on about GeForce RTX. No, I haven't heard that one. Obviously, I'm not in North America, so sometimes I don't hear the latest of what's going on. Like normally, there are various people on YouTube I follow and keep up to date with what's going on around the world, but what's going on at Best Buy? Alright, let's put down some custom desktop icons so we keep everything nice and organised. Someone once asked me how do I click so fast? It's just a gaming mouse with rapid click. Or rapid fire, or whatever they like to call it.
Alright, let's set up our overlay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Customers will wind up at Best Buy selling them GeForce RTX and there were over 353 people waiting for it in Tennessee at Best Buy. Some people didn't even park in the right area. Oh man, that's pretty epic. We don't normally see things like that in tech these days. Not like when Windows 95 came out. Like, there were people lined up, camped out in the streets for that. Like, if you saw the crap for like iPhones when they came out and all the people camped out in the street, like, that was like Windows 95. People were doing that for Windows 95. So excited.
Really?
Yeah, it was huge. But you don't normally see. So how much were they selling RTX for? Yeah.
Alright, I don't think there's much more we need. Just need Epic. And that'll be it.
I'll be back. Alrighty. So we're back here on our desktop. No other drives to set up. Nothing else. Oh, we got everything we need. Oh, there is one other app I need to install. One I missed. No, I didn't miss anything. We can stop all that annoying stuff from opening up every time we open our computer.
Just need an AMD chipset driver. Sweet. Okay, so we can leave Dragon Center. Disable that. Disable that. Disable that. Disable that. There. Dragon Center. Yep. Realtek HD audio. Yeah, it's our audio stuff. Want that to work. And Windows security. That's fine. The rest of the stuff we can decide if we want to use these apps. One thing I didn't do. Oh, no time. Okay, might update our BIOS while we're here. Alright.
Okay, looks like we are done. Okay, so now it's just like we've installed it for the first time. I'll go and make those adjustments I made over here. Actually no, that's pump DC. Alright, now we've got everything all set up and ready to go. Hey Mick, how you going? What happened to that date and time? No more cumulative updates. No. So here's our Ryzen 5600X. And we can run a quick test on it. Oh, what's... Alright. Something's going on in the background. Let's run that again. Obviously something's going on in the background because we're not seeing... Yeah, that's better. Still a little bit below. That's looking more as expected. Yeah, if you missed this one, Mick, it's a 3060 Ti and a 5600X. There we go. So the difference between that and these is negligible. You probably can't even see that. Let me just adjust screen. Yeah, the difference between these is negligible. And right there, top of the wash.
Test our storage drive, our crucial P1. Some nice fast read speeds there. Yeah, man, Adam's keen, as he's commented on a couple of feeds this week, how excited he is to get his. Some nice fast speeds here from our SSD. And we can run this benchmark now. And so if you haven't seen this before, this figure here below RAM is the frames per second that we're running at. So this is DirectX 11 mode at 1080p. So if you're playing like Fortnite DirectX 11, this would be roughly what you'd get, you know, on high. 200-300 frames a second. So that's what 3060 Ti gets you. It's a big step up from 3060. Don't let the name fool you. It's a totally different GPU. 3060 is called the NVIDIA GA106 GPU, and 3060 Ti, 3070 and 3070 Ti are all the GA104 GPUs. Nah, not really, Mick. I mean, Gen 4 SSDs, the thing is, like, there's a point of diminishing returns when it comes to SSD speeds. And so generally, any of your Gen 4 ones are going to be pretty good. You can pay extra and get, like, get one from Samsung or Micron or someone, and get one that's rated for higher speeds or has better software that goes with it. But yeah, like, the speeds of SSDs and stuff, people overthink the importance of it because they think of how much it improves over a hard drive. But the difference between a SATA SSD and an M2 Gen 3 and an M2 Gen 4 SSD in terms of real world load times and stuff is not as big as the difference between a hard drive and an SSD, because when I run Crystal Disk Mark, those top line transfers, like the Q depth 1 single threaded, like, that's not very representative of, like, when you are loading a game or
like copying a bunch of random data. So that's why you won't see that sort of speed when you move things between like two file folders in Windows and stuff. So yeah, my suggestion, Mick, would just be to look at the benchmarks for the different drives and just see whether you could justify spending the extra. Yeah, no worries, mate. Yeah, like you won't see me, like, unless someone's got a lot of money for their build, I generally don't recommend like Gen 4 SSDs at all. Like I'll say to someone, spend more on your graphics card, your CPU, your memory, your monitor, all these things before you spend hundreds of dollars more on an SSD. Definitely get an M2 SSD as a minimum. But yeah. So there we go. It was Heaven, 1080p, DirectX 11. And we'll do another one now. So yeah, there's our SSD speeds there. We'll run this one here. So we do this one on max, ultra with maximum anti-aliasing. You can think of anti-aliasing as line smoothing. You know, you ever played like, you know, Super Mario 64 and you get like close to an object on an angle and you see that it's not actually a line on an angle, it's actually lots of straight lines on like little jagged edges. Well, that's what anti-aliasing sort of tries to deal with. Just makes things look a bit clearer, but it takes a performance hit to do it. So generally, a low level of anti-aliasing is all that you would run on a first-person shooter game, whereas if you're playing something like Red Dead Redemption, you'd have all the settings turned up to max. Because a game like that, it's like visually immersive, so you want to make sure the visuals are really good for that. A game like Fortnite, first-person shooter, you want maximum frames a second, plenty of smooth, buttery smooth gameplay with no lag, etc, etc. So different settings for different games. That could be the hardest thing if you're coming over from console to PC, is wrapping your head around all the different settings and stuff. Because console's just, you know, kind of plug and play. This PC gives you endless options, almost too many options for some people. And it's overwhelming trying to get your head around it just from like changing settings and seeing what it does, and yeah. Everything's staying nice and cool. Sweet as. And here's our end scene here. And so the final one we run the same three on the same settings every night so that you can make comparisons. So we do this one 4K. And these are approximations about how this PC will run in games, because every game it's going to be slightly different. But that's the purpose of the benchmarks. Can't like load up every game and test every game every night. And it wouldn't make much sense if we were testing everyone's favourite game, then it wouldn't be a fair comparison. If you're watching these, deciding what you wanted to build and which system was going to be right for you, you'd want to be seeing like consistent benchmarks every night. I know it gets a bit repetitive, but no, she's just having a frustrating night. We care for her mum full time, and that can get a bit frustrating at times. So she's here. She was here earlier. So yeah, no worries if you get a got yourself a 75 Hertz 4K monitor or something like that to go with this PC if you're into 4K gaming. For the most part, it's going to keep up with that 75 Hertz in most games at 4K. So enjoy. You might have seen there's an 8K benchmark for this as well. I don't bother running that because no one games at 8K. It's that much of a niche thing that if you do it, you don't need me showing you benchmarks of it anyway. So you can see the CPU doing less work in this one compared to the previous one. That's due to the lower frames per second. Alrighty. So there we go. Now we're on to the final part of the night. Alright, so we'll set that for a 90-minute run. No worries, Rodney. Have a good night, mate. I'll see you tomorrow if you're around. Sweet as. So I'll just provide a bit of context here.
before we finish up for the night. So if I go over here and look at our CPU and change it to cores and threads, we see 12 blue boxes here in Windows Task Manager. If we go over to this one here, we can see that there are 12 blue boxes slowly calculating this image. These are the same 12 boxes we're seeing here of our CPU. So they are 6 cores and 12 threads. These are the 12 threads working on the problem. And so this is a way we can stress test our CPU so we can run it at maximum, unrealistically hard, just to make sure that nothing will overheat and that everything's all good and in working order. Yeah, Murray, this is an awesome case. The Dynamic 11 is a real showpiece case. And then yeah, this one over here, this is for the graphics card. So this is called Thermaltake. We've got this nice floating donut, furry donut. So you can see there's like lots of little strands that make up this donut. Well, these are all points that the graphics card is calculating its position as it's moving. So it's got this really complicated 3D object that it's rendering in real time, and while it's making the whole thing go down a corridor. So we're putting the graphics card to work rendering this. And so what we do is we just run that, and we run Cinebench. We let that run for 90 minutes, and this app here, Hardware Monitor, just monitors all the temperatures and logs everything as it's happening. So when we get to this point of the night, I usually just chat to people and sort of ask people if they've got any final questions before we sign off, because this is where I walk away usually if I'm not concerned about temps. And I'm not concerned about temps in this case. I'll just walk away and let this run through for 90 minutes, make sure everything's all good at the end, and then it will be ready for shipping. So that's it. That's how we do it, just to make sure everything's right. And so this is done in a relatively average room temperature environment between 20 and 24 degrees. So that's pretty normal in Australia. Granted, it's probably a little bit colder on average down south this time of year, but you know, if we're doing it in a slightly warmer environment, it should be okay in colder places. But you know, Melbourne can get pretty hot in summer. They can still get 40-degree days down there, and their buildings aren't designed around heat, so you get that. No worries, Mick. Catch you later. And so yeah, if anyone has any final questions, this is the time to reach out. Yeah, I can imagine, man. No, you'll get many years good use out of this one, mate. Yeah, 3060 Ti is a really good way to go. They were out of stock for ages. Don't play during Melbourne summer. No. Make sure. Well, no. You should be right. If you're concerned, just chat to me about it, because it's probably okay. Alright, well I think that'll pretty much wrap it up for tonight. What's the time? 10 o'clock? Yeah, it's about right.
How are we going for time? 2 hours 45 minutes. That's pretty good. It's pretty straightforward tonight. Alright everyone, so thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next video.